Welcome back to Vampire the Masquerade. We're playing. Sorry, I forgot her name. I played it yesterday evening. Oh, we had a lot of people here, so let's quickly take a look here. Is Addison Payne, the Venture Primogen. So we're playing Kali. So let's look at those characters that we met before. Addison Payne occupies a pivotal role within the Camarilla, valued for his vast wealth, extensive connections, and unwavering adherence to traditions. Despite being unable to speak or to move or speak on his own due to his physical condition, Addison is accompanied by a devout attendant who articulates his thoughts to others. As a highly respected figure of the Ivory Tower, his contributions to the Prince Penhard's agenda were significant, at least until he set his sights on sealing her title. However, some kindred question, in whispers, whether Payne is truly capable or just an empty shell puppeted by an invisible hand. Yeah, so he's a Ventrue. The Ventrue are by far the most controlling of the kindred. It's interesting that he's in a wheelchair because vampires or kindred, they revert back to their physical condition upon the embrace when they were made a vampire. So they are not superhumans necessarily if they were before, physically not able to do something in the sense of being in a wheelchair. Then they will not be able to move their legs afterwards. Eiling Sturbridge, the High Regent of the Five Boroughs Chantry, Eiling reveals only what she wants others to know. Fiercely loyal to her clan, she remains focused on securing and strengthening the Warlock's position in New York City, even as her High Regent status wavers due to the splintering within the Tremere strata. When Prince Penhard's grip weakened, Eiling understands that influencing her may soon yield little profit. Savvy and strategic, she seeks alternatives within inside and outside the court to achieve her goals, willing to take risks beyond common sense. So the Tremere and the Ventrue by far are very loyal to the Camarilla, because the Tremere have a lot of enemies. They want to be part of it, and the Ventrue, they want to be ruling it. We have Caleb, a rookie hunter devoted to the cause and ruthless beyond his years, not afraid to get his hands dirty. Well, he got kicked in the balls, I think, by us last time. Doomsayer, an unhinged ghoul. To most passerby, he may seem like just another maniac wandering the streets of New York City, but those who can read between the lines may find a profound message in his gibberish. Yeah, that's what I kind of thought as well. There must be some sort of Chekhov's gun kind of situation where what he says will make sense maybe in the end of the story. He was saying about the sun rising and whatnot and destroying something. Let's see. Gianni D'Angelo, we already read last time. Helen Penhard, she's also a Ventrue, the current ruler of the local Camarilla. Despite her notable efforts and connections, appears to be struggling to maintain her position as the prince. So even female rulers here are referred as the prince. It's just the tradition within the kindred society that's the case. Penhard is constantly on alert, carefully revealing any signs of weakness or vulnerability that could be exploited by her detractors. Even the kindred expected to support her through the most difficult times, favor her no longer, and are only waiting for the right moment to retract their backings. Some figures are increasingly vocal in their opposition to her leadership and actively seeking to undermine her authority, especially Kadir al-Asmai, who first is in line to deal with the fallout of her steadily slipping control. Interesting that Kadir would be one of the first to go against her. The Hound, La Sombra. So La Sombra, we're playing here Vampire the Masquerade, has a long history of more than 20 years. Traditionally, the La Sombra are not part of the Camarilla, but in the recent releases, the version 5 of the Vampire the Masquerade, which moved the timeline more or less from the mid to early 2000s to more or less modern day, the La Sombra in the meantime joined the Camarilla. So he's Camarilla's footstool, largely incompetent as a hound, but useful from time to time as an Elysium bouncer. He's always brooding because his embrace into the La Sombra clan took away his precious hobby, playing video games around the clock. Interesting. So the Sombra, traditionally, they're similar to the Ventrue in many ways. Very elitist, very ruling class kind of people. They're also usually associated with the church to some degree, and they also tend to have very, kind of a BDSM type of relationship with their sire. Like their sire is very commanding usually, for lots of them. With Julia, we met her. She's actually the protagonist of the second installment of this game. Julia Sovinsky, Sombra Primogen. Oh yeah, she was made the Primogen. A veritable kindred powder keg, Julia combines the wits of a former journalist with the ruthlessness of a fully realized La Sombra. Having recently taken her place on the council, sacrificing her lover and a good part of her humanity in the process, she is still regarded as somewhat of an outsider. Her relationship with her former mentor, Kadir Al-Asmai, has grown decidedly chilly. Armed with cigarettes and a dark sense of humor, Julia fights hard to stay ahead of the eternal power struggles of the Ivory Tower, but nobody knows what the upcoming nights will bring for the young, fatalistic La Sombra. With Kali, we're playing as her, the dark web dealer. Then we have Mato, who is a Tremere, yes. He was supposed to be part of the Anarchs, which is interesting because I think there was also like a large change in the 5th edition, because traditionally the Tremere are very, very decidedly part of the Camarilla to a very large degree. But some outsiders are now also part of the Anarchs. So, traumatized by his sire's ruthlessness, Mato Blomqvist left the clan and the world of Tomachi behind to pursue a path more in harmony with his peaceful nature. He opened a car repair shop in the Anarch turf and threw himself into work. Finding solace in an unlikely hobby, this gentle giant is probably the most humane kindred in the Bronx. Just ask Patrick Conroy, one of the regular customers, then a savior and now Mato's ally. We have Mia, the right hand to Torque. She also made appearances in the previous games. When Mia, so she's Bruja very, let's say the stereotypical Anarchs. They used to be part of the Camarilla and are now mostly no longer, I think. But they are, they're good fighters. They used to be like a high-class clan where they were philosophers as well, but more or less they kind of are regarded now as more like the battle clan. When Mia Sorrento means business, there's little that can sway her, a fact well known by the Licks who respect her. Licks here also a term for kindred vampires. She once considered herself Torque's protector and moral compass, steering him towards Anarch ideals. However, as she increasingly aligned with the Camarilla, she became more radical in her position. The situation escalated when she lost her status as Torque's advisor, supplanted by the caitiff Patrick Conroy. Her clash with Torque is inevitable. The only question is when. So it's interesting that Torque, the Anarch, became more Camarilla aligned in the meantime. And that also explains why she and Patrick were not getting along, because he replaced her essentially as his advisor, as Torque's advisor. So Patrick Conroy, the caitiff mediator. Caitiffs here are more or less kind of abandoned. Like they're not really part of any traditional clan. So they're by that already outsiders, and it's one of these signs of the end times that you have more of these thin bloods, people with have very little power, or caitiffs who are not part of, like they're not manifesting any connection to any of the clans, I guess. A calm, nondescript presence lurking in the backgrounds of any meeting involving both the Anarchs and the Camarilla. Patrick Conroy easily assumes the mantle of mediator, although disdained for his caitiff provinces by the Ivory Tower figures. He not only serves as peacemaker, but also acts as an advisor to Torque, the Baron of the Bronx. Uptight, taciturn, and surrounded by an air of mystery, Patrick is tasked with shadowing Callie in the search for a missing sire, all the while skirting around his most private affairs. Yeah, he does have some secrets that he does not want to reveal. You have Kadir. He obviously also made appearances in previous games. He's one of the Toreador. Traditionally, Toreador are very artsy people, but they can also be pretty good fighters, and they can really influence people. They're very good speaking people as well, so it's an interesting fit for him to be the sheriff. The paragon of loyalty and duty. Kadir Al-Asma has served as the Newark sheriff for a few more decades than is advisable. Disillusioned with the fruitless bickering of the council and the indecisiveness of Prince Panhard, Kadir finds it increasingly challenging to fulfill his duty. The emergence of new threats within the city, intent on dividing and conquering it, simply tearing it apart, only worsens the struggle. Even those who wish him well, insofar as kindred are able to, see that he is becoming increasingly ruthless, slowly but surely giving in to the beast. Yeah, the beast is your internal struggle. As every vampire has this. Of course, they try to control themselves, not become a wild creature that just murders, but unfortunately that is within them, and they have to constantly fight against it and keep their humanity or some resemblance of it. Squeaker we already saw. Thomas Arturo, the influential harpy here being more of a social influencer within the court, within the society. He's also one of the Ventru. Despite the mystery veiling his machinations, Arturo's deep-seated contempt and vanity are unmistakable. One of the most ambitious kindred in New York City, he exploits his influence as harpy to skillfully navigate the court games, employing any measure that could benefit him in the long term. However, with the weakening position of Prince Helene Penhart and no suitable replacement, he can easily manipulate. Arturo struggles to maintain his meticulously designed unlife. Yes, he is definitely an interesting character. Torque, the Baron of the Bronx. While Torque's heart has always been ready for a fight, the complexities of kindred politics have shifted his focus towards brokering deals rather than breaking skulls. This challenge has lent him a newfound air of prudence and conservatism, despite all still having some clout among the less fierce licks. Torque's position as a leader weakens by night. His previous machinations have led him to a stalemate where he can do little more than engage in politicking. He resents that position, but the fear of losing his hard-earned gains paralyzes him from taking decisive action. And then he was also a Bruja, together with Mia. And then we have Valerie Duval, the Scourge of New York. So Scourge we already looked up, that's somebody who's more of an executor, an assistant to the sheriff. She's also Ventru. The fight of Valerie Duval inspires fear through New York City. The figure of her inspires fear. She executed her duties with ruthless efficiency under the sheriff's orders, at times independently, when she targets the thin blood population. So as I said, thin bloods are a sign of the end times, something that definitely puts some fear in the kindred society that, the end times might be coming and, I don't know, God would punish them, the world would end. And thin bloods are one of the signs that the prophecies foretell would come to give us the end times. Thin bloods are people of very high generation, very far removed from the founder. So many generations of kindred embraced each other, and then they became so thin-blooded. Each generation becomes weaker, and the thin-blooded are so weak that they're barely kindred. They can almost work in the day or walk in the day. They have very little powers, but they have other powers. So it puts some scare into them, and in many cities they get executed, basically. As a model member of the clan Ventru, she combines grace and beauty with cunning and relentlessness, patiently awaiting the perfect moment to strike without mercy. Yes, our disciplines, we don't have anything new, right? We cannot add new ones, so let's just go here. Here there was some things. So Cain is the founder, so to speak, the first kindred. When Cain is from the biblical story, so you remember maybe Cain and Abel. So Cain was supposed to have slaughtered Abel as a punishment. God made him a vampire to become the evil of the world, so to speak. But there are many theories about this, if it's true, if it's accurate. Some of the kindred society believe it. It's of course maybe more of a Western perspective, since it's very founded in the Abrahamic religions. But yeah, it's one of the profound founding myth of the kindred society. But as I said, there are other perspectives on that as well, whether he's real and how real he is. Then we have the Haven. Yeah, it's a place for people to stay. A hound is a deputy under the sheriff. And then I wanted to look at the Special Affairs Division, as I'm not so well versed with the new lore, and this is more of a new thing. So also called the SAD, this FBI division is committed to neutralizing the kindred threat. To get their targets, the SAD uses not only its influence in law enforcement, but also the extensive case files on anti-kindred activities and some finesse and detective work. Commandeering kindred asset gives them impressive economic freedom from the other global entities involved in what vampires call the Second Inquisition. Yeah, so that's one of the new lores. So in the early 2000s, kindred were mostly hidden, but then more and more the Second Inquisition came and uncovered the truth about that there's these more or less hidden vampires influencing a lot of things in the world, and both the FBI as well as many other secret societies were also, from the Vatican, from the FBI, and other dedicated more hunting groups. They came together to hunt kindred as a part of the Second Inquisition. So it's definitely a little bit unnerving for kindred, who for millennia were hidden from humans. It's not public knowledge that there are vampires in the society, but some part of the mortals do know it now. The embrace is when you become a vampire, and the kiss is when you drink from a mortal. We call that the kiss. Yes, so I guess we spent a little bit of time here looking through the book, and I think that was interesting. But I will put that as a separate episode, because I know that maybe some people just want to see a little bit more gameplay. So I will end it here, and I'll publish a secondary episode right after this, so you can enjoy that and watch some actual gameplay. And those who didn't enjoy that, they can skip this episode, or they probably already did. So see you at the gameplay episode, just a bit.